This is Perp back with another movie review. I just got out of watching The Exorcist Believer, and going into this, even before this movie was going to be released, it was going to have some huge shoes to fill. Some people are just already going to not even watch this movie, based on, David Gordon Green's whole track record with Halloween and how that ended. A lot of people were already kind of jaded and were already going to go into this movie ready to already hate it. And it's interesting because I saw the very first Exorcist in the theaters like this past Sunday, and that was such an incredible experience because I've seen The Exorcist a handful of times, but seeing it in theaters, it's like you really get that experience. Now, this movie is getting a lot of mixed reactions, a lot of negative reactions, and I can kind of see why, but I'm not going to go off of like Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know why people still use Rotten Tomatoes as some type of credible, source, and, I'm just going to give you my take and my opinion of this movie. I'm going to try to stay away from spoilers just because I know that this movie just came out. But with that being said, I feel like my one negative about this, one of my negatives, is the trailer. The trailer showed you a lot what was going to go on with this movie, and I think that was a mistake. If they would have left some things off the table, off the trailer, you would be a little bit more surprised. So before I kind of give you the ins and outs of this movie and why I feel like it's not going to hit with certain people, let me just talk about the story. Well, you have this main character, Victor, and his wife. They're out in Haiti, and his wife is pregnant, and she goes to this lady to kind of get blessed, and then one thing leads to another where all of a sudden the building that she's in just fucking collapse. And I was like, man, that's devastating. And now Victor has to make this choice of, do I save my wife or do I save my daughter, my baby daughter? And that plays a huge part in what happens later on in the film as well, that comes back up. And then we go 13 years later where we see Angela, that's Victor's daughter. She is obviously, living with her father, and everything seems really good. They're very close, and the loss of his wife definitely has taken a toll on him, but that pain doesn't beat him down, you know what I'm saying? And then, as you saw in the trailer, Angela has a friend named Katherine, and these two end up going to the woods, and we get into this whole, search and rescue type of spot in the movie where they go missing for 3 days and then they pop back up at this farm. And that's the one thing that they didn't show in the trailer. I'm surprised because they damn near showed like a lot of what's kind of going on in the movie. And they went out to the woods to kind of do a ritual or tap into the spiritual realm, or mess with the spirits, which never goes well in these types of movies. And I can see that trope being something that kind of takes people out, but in Angela's kind of case, it makes sense because she really misses her mother and she wants to kind of reach out, so giving them the benefit of the doubt. But they come back, and similar to Reagan, weird shit starts to happen over the course of a few days and stuff like that. It just worsens and worsens. But it's interesting because Catherine's family comes from more of a religious background, where Victor he's kind of in the middle. He doesn't quite believe, ironically, no pun intended. And I feel like that's kind of the gist of why this is called Exorcist Believer. And Victor being that believer towards the end of all this, and just how much the community, his neighbors and stuff, care about his whole situation, how they get involved with this whole situation, and how the two different kind of parenting styles kind of clash with one another, where, you know, Catherine's family is very highly into the church and very religious, and they don't really got that over with Victor and Angela, where they kind of just live free amongst themselves. And there's some moments in here that are very emotional, but I also think it takes a little bit too long, where in the first Exorcist, yeah, like it was a slow build up, but things were constantly building up, where this took, I think a way too long to kind of get to the point with certain things. And once we get to like the possession thing, the whole possession scene, the third act, that's where I could kind of see people just being like, what the hell is this? Or being a little mixed with certain things. I like the reintroduction of Chris and her explanation of why her and Reagan haven't really been seeing eye to eye, and they kind of had a falling out because of her book. And I enjoy that. I want to see what they're going to do with Reagan's character throughout this trilogy. And that's the one thing that has me curious, even though I wouldn't say that this movie is doing anything groundbreaking. Some of the special effects, I wish they didn't like do those CG scenes. That just kind of took me out of the movie for a minute. But once we get to like the Exorcist scene and stuff, and you have all these different people involved with trying to help these girls, that's where things kind of get interesting for me, in my opinion, where we do have stakes, where they show this in the trailer that the demon or whoever that is, I don't know if it's Pizzulo, even though it sounds like him, says that these girls' heartbeats are in sync. You have to make a choice on some Jigsaw shit. You choose one girl gets to live, the other one gets to die. And how that kind of plays about, it's very emotional, and it's a semi-happy ending, but not really. It's a dark kind of ending, and I don't want to kind of spoil that, but it's fascinating, and I want to see how the next two movies are going to play out, because the next movie is called Deceiver, so I'm not too sure how things are going to play out, but it has me interested. I appreciate this movie taking the risk, and I don't think a lot of people are going to appreciate that ending. And I can also see how people are going to be mixed with this movie, because don't go into this movie expecting to be scared. There are a few little cheap jump scares here and there. The effects on the girls themselves look kind of dope at some times, but then other times you could kind of tell that it's a little CGI-ish, with the way that they're kind of lip syncing. Yeah, other than that, you know, I didn't hate this movie. I don't think it was terrible, but it's not like great at the same time. And I kind of expected that, because The Exorcist has like such a high bar that it was set like 50 years ago, that you're not going to be able to kind of recapture that. But I appreciate certain things in this movie. I like the actor that plays Victor. I think he's like the strongest actor in this, and what they're trying to go for. And some people aren't going to like it, you know what I'm saying? Like, the pacing is definitely very slow, and you could have definitely kind of cut it down, or had certain events kind of happen faster. But you got to keep in mind that this is one movie out of a whole trilogy, and depending on how Deceiver goes, I'm curious to see how well that this movie is going to do. Just based on the bad word of mouth, I don't see this doing spectacular in the box office, because I went to go see an IMAX and there was quite a few seats left. This is just opening night. yeah, it's just possession movies are just gonna always be hard to win people over. That's just my kind of take on this. I also like the kind of redoing of the theme song. Other than that, I'm kind of in the middle with this movie. I didn't absolutely hate it. I don't think it's complete trash in my opinion, and I don't think it's like anything groundbreaking or amazing. It is well shot at certain times, and at other times it's just like kind of looks kind of goofy. But you should go see this for yourself. Don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. Watch these movies for yourself so you could have your own opinion on the matter. You might walk out loving this movie and thinking it's an actual solid sequel to the original Exorcist, or you might hate it. If you do get around to watching this, if you have watched it, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments below. Till next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.